I do think he's going to be one of the 10 to 12 best players in this draft class when we check in 5 years from now.
I think he's got the makeup to run a team. I do think he goes before that.
I think he's going to be great in Philly. I think Philly will love him right away. He can fit next to a star, and he can beat a star.
The entire NBA just handed the Philadelphia Sixers the final missing piece to a 10-year dynasty. And 21 front offices are about to have the worst decade of their lives. 21 teams had the chance to change their franchise's future with Labaron Philon Jr. But instead, they overthought it, played it safe, and passed. I'm talking about one of the most dangerous offensive guards to come out of college basketball in years being completely ignored while general managers panicked on draft night. However, if you think this is just hype, wait until you hear the hidden secret the Sixers GM admitted the second they stole him at pick 22. This is about to change everything you thought you knew about the NBA forever. 21 NBA general managers should genuinely have their front office keys confiscated for what they let happen on draft night. We're watching history repeat itself in the most embarrassing way possible because Philadelphia just stole the ultimate basketball savant at pick 22, while half the league drafted for theoretical upside. Before we even talk about why these teams made a tragic mistake, you need to realize who Labaron Philon Jr. actually is, because the general public has been completely blindfolded here. This kid was the only Division I player in the country to average over 22 points and 5 assists while converting 50% of his shots from the field. Nobody else in college basketball touched that level of efficiency, and he did it in the grinder of the SEC while facing every opponent's best defender every single night. Think about how much everyone praised Tyrese Maxey for averaging 14 points at Kentucky before slipping to number 21. Philon just doubled that production as an Alabama sophomore, maintained 50, 40, 80 shooting splits, and these 21 teams still didn't think he was good enough. Oh, and by the way, CBS sports analysts are out here calling him a literal blur with the ball, and scouts are comparing his ball control package to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
I've seen him in person plenty of times. He can be a blur with the ball.
Yet these teams completely ignored the tape and passed. However, here's the shocking part, because his backstory before he even got drafted to Philadelphia explains exactly why he's about to dominate the entire league. NBA draft scouts love to overanalyze and overcomplicate every minor detail until they completely lose a potential future all-star who's staring him right in the face. Labaron Philon Jr. has been breaking the brains of these highly paid front office executives since his high school days back in Mobile, Alabama. The kid was out there effortlessly dropping 35 points a night for Baker High School and winning Alabama Mr. Basketball as a junior, but talent evaluators still found a way to overcomplicate his profile. His recruiting journey alone was absolute drama, because he committed to Auburn, got bored with that, signed with Kansas, changed his mind again, and eventually ended up at Alabama under Nate Oates on April 28, 2024. Most high school prospects would have completely collapsed under that level of public pressure and social media noise, but Philon just used it to develop a massive chip on his shoulder before he even played a single second of college basketball. I mean, sure, his freshman year stats were a bit quiet on paper because he only averaged 10.6 points per game, which gave casual fans an excuse to entirely ignore his upside. But what those box score watchers missed was that he was already elite on the defensive end, leading the entire Crimson Tide roster with 1.4 steals while playing directly behind an All-American guard like Mark Sears. Then his sophomore year arrived and he basically turned into a cheat code, averaging 22 points and 5 assists while grabbing over 3 rebounds a night on 50, 40, 80 shooting splits. He became the only Division I player in the country to put up 22 points and 5 assists on 50% shooting from the floor, which easily earned him first-team All-SEC honors and third-team All-American spots from AP, USBWA, NABC, and Sporting News. He scored 725 total points that year, making him the third player in Alabama school history to cross the 700-point mark in a single season, while becoming the first Power 4 guard since 2000 to average over 21 points and 4 assists on 50% shooting. But if you thought that was all this kid's achieved, oh, we're just getting started. Because when they played Michigan in the NCAA tournament, he completely destroyed their defensive game plan by dropping 35 points and grabbing 7 rebounds while going a perfect 9 for 9 from the free throw line. Yet, some anonymous NBA scout tried to tank his draft stock by complaining that his second half pull-up percentages dropped off. It's genuinely funny to hold that against him when he was playing through a painful injury while being double-teamed on every single possession because he was the top priority on every opposing team's plan. Serious draft analysts like ESPN's Bobby Marks saw right through the media noise and ranked him at number 13 on his final board, while the writers at Liberty Ballers put him at number 9 because of his shifty Shai Gilgeous-Alexander type of dribble package. He was a certified lottery talent hiding in plain sight, which makes the fact that 21 teams skipped on him look completely ridiculous. But none of this would have even happened if it wasn't for the most chaotic 29 minutes in college basketball history, where a last-second backroom decision completely hijacked his original NBA draft plans. And that's where this entire story turns into a literal movie. Because back in May 2025, everyone thought this dude was completely done with college basketball. He already had his bags packed for the league after his freshman year, while ESPN had him sitting right at number 43 on their board, which is that danger zone where you're praying a contender reaches for you late in the first round. In fact, Philon literally went to the combine and told everyone with a microphone that he was all in on the draft, and that the door to Alabama was locked and chained from the outside. Then the clock started ticking down to the final NCAA deadline and things got completely chaotic behind closed doors. With exactly 29 minutes left before his college eligibility evaporated, the Yeah Alabama NIL collective dropped the wildest post on Twitter and announced he was coming back for his sophomore season. It sounds wild now, but you should have seen how the analysts at CBS Sports completely started scrambling to rewrite their articles, while labeling him the highest rated player returning to college basketball. However, we have to be completely real about what happened because the numbers just did not make sense for him to leave when his choices were either non-guaranteed second-round pennies or a massive bag of cash to come back and be the man for Alabama. The second his return became official, Alabama instantly jumped 7 whole spots in the national rankings without even playing a single game, which shows you how much influence the kid already had. But you also have to laugh at the awkwardness of walking back into that facility after you just told the whole world you were going pro. The rumors in that locker room had to be wild, and the internet spent months crying about how he supposedly chickened out of the draft because he was scared of league physicality. Philon spent a whole year answering the most annoying media questions imaginable about why he stayed, but he didn't let that weigh him down. The kid got back up and started casually averaging 22 a game and making every single hater eat their words. When the Sixers finally snapped him up on draft night, their general manager, Mike Gansey, said this.
He's got some toughness. I think he's going to fit Philly. He plays with an edge, plays with a swag. He's not afraid.
But this is where the plot thickens because you have to wonder what kind of collective brain rot infected the other front offices to make him pass on a player like this. Earlier, when I said that those 21 NBA general managers who passed up on Philon need to have their front office keys confiscated for letting this absolute robbery happen on draft night, I wasn't joking. We just witnessed the Tyrese Maxey situation play out all over again because half of these front offices are completely addicted to drafting for hypothetical upside instead of taking guys who actually know how to play basketball. NBA news channels like Real GM literally called this train wreck weeks ago and wrote that this guard class was so deep that a legit star was guaranteed to fall through the cracks, and Philon was the one who ended up taking the hit. Even the Sixers general manager openly admitted that the dudes who got drafted in that 13 to 19 range can easily be top 10 picks in any normal year. But instead of taking a stone-cold player, these teams completely lost their minds over younger freshmen like Kingston Flemings and Darius Acuff Jr. Front offices treat age like it's the only stat on the board. completely overthinking potential over actual production. The funniest spot of the night has to be the Dallas Mavericks though, because the smoking Cuban dropped reports that Dallas was frantically trying to trade up from 30 just to pair Philon with Cooper Flagg so he could learn under Kyrie Irving. But they completely hesitated and did nothing. Meanwhile, the Warriors at number 11 and Miami at 13 just completely ignored their backcourt issues. Toronto at 19 and San Antonio at 20 did the same thing before Detroit and Minnesota passed at number 21. Every single one of them is gonna look incredibly stupid because Philly has the literal blueprint for turning neglected players into franchise cornerstones. Remember what they did with Tyrese Maxey? Yeah, exactly. The parallels between Philon falling and the Tyrese Maxey draft slide are so identical that it feels like the Matrix got lazy. Maxey was also a projected lottery pick who randomly slid to pick 21, and now Philon has done the same thing at 22. Scouts originally claimed Maxey was just a bench spark plug like Lou Williams, and now the man's on a max contract averaging 28 points and 6 assists a night. Everyone forgets that Maxey only put up 14 a game at Kentucky, and people doubted him for the same foolish reasons. Both of these guys are just incredibly crafty guards who know how to finish around the rim at a crazy high percentage without needing insane vertical bounce. Philly even traded away Jared McCain to clear out the runway, so now Philon gets to step into a spot next to Maxey and VJ Edgecombe, where all the pressure is off. It really makes you wonder what the Sixers front office has in store for the rest of the league next season. However, the real question now isn't if Philon is gonna perform, that's a guarantee, it's how fast he turns this disrespect into trophies. Because you're completely out of your mind if you think this draft night slide is gonna make this kid humble. He deadass feeds on everyone doubting him like a villain. In fact, ESPN and the SEC network literally did whole segments on how he watches horror films just to get into character before games. We're talking about a guy who took all the backlash that came with his move from Auburn to Kansas and then to Alabama and turned it into pure fuel instead of crying about it. When they lost that painful game to Michigan in the tournament while he was secretly playing through a leg injury, he didn't complain once to the media. He just went up to Nate Oates and said the whole plan was about getting 1% better every single day. Then Philly called his name at 22 and he didn't even look relieved or happy to be there. He just looked straight at his phone and says this.
But I'm telling you, hey, we gonna go get everybody, I'm telling you. We walking them down one by one.
That's that unhinged psycho energy you see from guys like Draymond Green, Nikola Jokic, or Damian Lillard, who remember every single person who disrespected them. These 22 teams did not just pass on a guard, they gave a certified villain a reason to show up and ruin their life every single night. And the wildest part is where he landed, because he's acting like this whole slide was the plan all along. The Sixers basically just arguably built the scariest young team in the league, and nobody's realizing how crazy this fit's gonna be. Think about a backcourt with Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe, who just went crazy as a Rookie of the Year finalist, and now you add Philon to the mix. Even their head coach Nick Nurse was practically glowing when he called Philon another fast, exciting guard who plays just like Tyrese and VJ.
I think that he's another fast, kind of exciting guy that kind of plays a lot like Tyrese and VJ. It's another guy.
All the mainstream media channels are crying about fit and ball sharing issues, completely forgetting that Philon spent his freshman year playing off the ball next to Mark Sears perfectly fine. When he ain't forced to score 22 points a night, his defense goes crazy, which is why he was casually grabbing 1.4 steals a game. This is exactly what Philly needed because Maxey literally led the entire NBA in minutes last season, and Edgecombe was just behind him at 11th. The playoffs just showed us that backup guards like Jose Alvarado and Ayo Dosunmu or Dylan Harper are the ones who actually win your series in the clutch. See, if you look at NBA history, the league loves the underdog story. We saw it play out with Tyrese, saw it play out with Jalen Brunson, and these 21 teams are about to pay for it for the next 10 years. The Warriors literally built a dynasty on finding overlooked guards, and they still messed this up. Miami desperately needs someone who can score now that Jimmy Butler's gone, and they just passed. Toronto needs a point guard for the rebuild and chose to overthink it, while Dallas did absolutely nothing after all those rumors about trading up for him. The Sixers have been stuck in this cursed cycle of injuries and second-round exits for decades. But this is where the script flips. 5 years from now, everyone's gonna look back at June 23rd, 2026 as the exact night the entire league handed Philly the keys to the conference. However, if you think I'm wrong, drop your thoughts in the comments right now.